If you spent the last year trying to keep up with every AI tool, I have some, well, slightly bad news for you. You're never gonna catch up. A new model launches, a new agent goes viral, ChatGPT adds another feature, Claude changes how we work, Gemini connects to something new, and suddenly the tutorial you watched 6 months ago is already outdated. But here's the good news. You don't need to learn every new AI tool. In fact, the people who thrive in this next era won't even be the people who have memorized the most platforms or collected the most prompts. They'll be the people who know how to orchestrate intelligence. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 6 skills that are becoming more valuable, not less, as AI gets smarter. And every one of them is something you can start practicing today. Hi, I'm Sadie St. Lawrence. I'm the founder and CEO of the Human Machine Collaboration Institute, and I've trained more than 700,000 professionals in AI. And I've spent most of my time helping leaders understand how humans and machines should, well, actually work together. And one of the biggest mistakes I see right now is people confusing learning AI with learning AI tools. Learning how to use a tool can absolutely make you more productive, but knowing where the buttons are is not the same as knowing what problem to solve, how to redesign the work, or whether the output is actually any good. The tools will continue to change, but these 6 skills will not. And they are problem framing, systems thinking, context engineering, AI orchestration, judgment and taste, and last but not least, human leadership. So let's start with the skill that comes before AI even enters the room. The first skill is problem framing. See, AI is incredibly good at producing answers, but it cannot rescue a poorly defined problem. Imagine a company comes into its leadership team and says, our customer service response time is too slow. We need an AI chatbot. Now, that sounds incredibly reasonable. I hear this all the time with companies that I consult for. But what if the actual problem is that the company policies are scattered across 12 different documents, half of them are outdated, and no one agrees on which version is correct? Adding a chatbot does not solve this problem. Honestly, it's just going to confuse the chatbot more and make the customer more frustrated. And this is why the first question shouldn't be, where can we use AI? The first question should be, what outcome are we trying to produce? Who are we producing it for? What is preventing that outcome today? And what would a genuinely good result look like? When you can frame the problem clearly, AI becomes significantly more useful. And when you can't, AI often helps you create the wrong thing faster. So here's your first exercise. Think of one reoccurring frustration in your work. Don't ask AI to solve it. Instead, write down the current situation, the desired outcome, the constraints, and how you would measure success. That is problem framing. And as AI makes execution easier, knowing what is worth executing becomes even more valuable. The second skill is systems thinking. Most people look at work as a series of individual tasks. Send the email, create the presentation, analyze the spreadsheet, approve the request. System thinkers zoom out. They ask how the work moves from beginning to end and how the people, the process, and the technology all influence one another. If you want to know more about systems thinking, I recently shared a video on systems thinking where I take a deep dive. Link to the video is in the description. Now, let's say your content team is struggling publishing content consistently. The immediate response might be, we need AI to write more posts. But perhaps writing isn't the bottleneck. Maybe ideas sit in the approval queue for 2 weeks. Maybe no one knows who owns the final decision. Or maybe the team is producing plenty of content, but there's no distribution strategy. AI can help the team generate more, but generating more content ideas is sometimes not where the system is broken. When I evaluate a system, I look at 3 elements: the people, the process, and the technology. Who is involved? How does the work currently move? And where can technology create a meaningful leverage? If you ignore the people, no one adopts the system. If you ignore the process, you automate chaos. And if you ignore the technology, you may be asking humans to continue doing work machines could handle better. So your exercise is to choose one workflow and map it from beginning to end. Look for waiting, repetition, confusion, unnecessary handoffs, and a decision that lacks a clear owner. Don't start by asking where to insert AI. Start by understanding the system. The third skill is context engineering. Prompting still matters, but prompting is only one piece of creating reliable work with AI. Think of about hiring a new employee. You wouldn't give someone one sentence of instruction, provide no access to the company information, refuse to show them an example, and then expect them to have perfect work. But this is exactly what many people do with AI. They type, create a marketing strategy. Then they're disappointed with the final results because, well, it feels so generic. See, AI systems need context. They need a clear goal. They also need relevant information, examples, constraints, tools, permission, and a way to evaluate their work. They may also need memory so that useful information can be carried across multiple interactions. Let's say I want an AI system to help create my weekly intelligence brief. I don't want to explain my audience, content pillars, preferred sources, tone, and output format every single week. I want to create an environment where that context already exists. That is the difference between writing an isolated prompt and designing an intelligent system. So here's your exercise. Choose one task you repeat every week. Create a dedicated project for it in ChatGPT, Claude, or whatever platform you use. Add the instructions, examples, source material, audience information, and quality criteria that you wanted to check. Now you're no longer asking AI to guess what you want. You're building the conditions that make good work more likely. And if you want more help keeping up with what is actually worth knowing in AI, I share my favorite insights, research, and practical tools for free in my AI Golden Buckets newsletter. I'll place the link below. Now, the next skill is one that I believe will define the next era of work. This fourth skill is AI orchestration. And this is the skill I believe will become increasingly important as we move from using individual AI tools to building complete AI systems. You see, orchestration means choosing the right combination of human, models, tools, data, and processes to produce an outcome. Because the future is not one magic AI model doing everything. You see, different tasks require different levels of intelligence. Some tasks need speed, some need deep reasoning, and some need access to private information, and some need a human to be able to make the final decision. Now imagine I'm creating an executive brief. I might use one system to collect information from approved sources. A fast, inexpensive model can categorize it. And then a second system, a stronger reasoning model, might identify patterns and contradictions. A data tool might create visualization, and a human expert would determine the narrative, evaluate the evidence, and approve the final recommendation. That is orchestration, and it's similar to conducting an orchestra. You see, a conductor doesn't personally play every instrument, but the conductor understands what instrument does well, when it should enter, when it should stop, and how the pieces work together. As more AI models and agents enter the workplace, our job will increasingly be to make those decisions. Which model should perform this task? How much quality do we need? How quickly do we need the result? And how much are we willing to pay? Questions like, what information should the system access? And where does a human need to remain accountable? These are the important questions to ask. So this week, your exercise is to take one project and separate it into individual jobs. Then assign each job to the right human, the right model, or the right tool. Now, don't ask an AI to do everything. Be sure to design the team. Or the way I like to think of it, the orchestra. The fifth skill is judgment and taste. As AI makes it easier to generate content, code, strategies, images, presentations, the value begins to shift. Generation, well, it becomes abundant. But judgment, well, that's a scarce source. See, AI can give you 50 ideas in a second, but are they accurate? Are they relevant? Do they sound like you? Does the recommendation make sense within the larger business? And perhaps most importantly, do you know what should be removed? This is something we frequently misunderstand about expertise. An expert isn't valuable only because they produce an answer. They're valuable because they can recognize which answer is good, which detail matters, and most importantly, what could go wrong. Now, taste is not simply personal preference. It is pattern recognition developed through experience. It is understanding why one story moves people while others feel generic, why one presentation creates clarity while others contain 40 beautiful design slides with no actual point, why one AI recommendation deserves attention, and why another should, well, just never reach a customer. So your goal this week, ask AI to produce 3 different versions of the same deliverable. Then don't ask AI which one is best, evaluate it yourself. Write down what works, what doesn't, why. The purpose isn't to improve the output, it's to train your own judgment. Because if you delegate all of your thinking to AI, you may eventually lose the ability to recognize when AI is wrong. Now, the sixth skill is human leadership. And my team is an AI-first team. So we experiment aggressively. We automate what we can. We constantly ask where AI can improve our work. And at the end of each quarter, we document our wins, learnings, and adjustments. And recently, a very clear theme emerged across the entire team. The theme was, and please don't laugh, but the theme was, we still need humans. I know, it sounds obvious. Of course we still need humans. But what made it interesting was that this conclusion came from a team activity trying to use AI across nearly everything we do. We found that AI could accelerate research, production, and execution, but it could not replace original thought. It could not replace deep understanding of the people we serve, and it couldn't take responsibility for the consequences of a decision. See, AI changes more than just tasks. It changes roles, expectations, identity, trust, and how people experience their work. Someone still has to explain why this change is happening. Someone still has to listen to concerns. And someone has to decide what should remain human. And someone has to remain accountable for when that system gets wrong. These are not just peripheral soft skills. They are essential parts of the system. So your final exercise is to lead one conversation with your team about how AI should change your workflow. Not which product should you purchase, but rather you should ask, what should AI do? What should humans continue to do? Where do we require review? And who is ultimately accountable? The companies that succeed with AI won't simply have the most powerful models. They'll have leaders who know how to help humans and machines work together. So those are the 6 skills. Frame the problem, understand the system, build the context, orchestrate the intelligence, apply judgment, and most importantly, lead the humans. Notice that none of these skills actually depend on a specific AI tool. ChatGPT will change, Claude will change, Gemini will change, and there will probably be many, many more AI tools that come out, and they too will change. There will be new agents, new models, and new interfaces that we have yet to imagine. But if you can frame meaningful problems, understand systems, orchestrate the right combination of human and machine intelligence, you won't have to chase every new tool. You'll know how to evaluate it. And most importantly, you'll know where it belongs, and you'll know how to use it to produce an outcome that actually matters. The future doesn't belong to the people who know the most AI tools. It belongs to the people who know how to build intelligent systems. If you found this helpful, please subscribe, because I'm going to continue to break down each one of these skills and show you how to put them in practice. And let me know in the comments, which one of these 6 skills do you think will be most valuable? I'll see you in the next video.